Well, I appreciate the opportunity to be with you this afternoon, and I know that you've been hearing a lot from a lot of speakers, and much of what I say may very well duplicate and replicate what you've already heard, but it's perhaps worth visiting about. You know, to sort of talk about where we're headed, you sort of have to know where we've been, and Andy's introduction touched on a few of the where we've been. Just today, we had the Senate pass Russia normal trade relations, which is a great opportunity for agriculture. It's a victory for all who are interested in free trade and unfettered trade, and it will give us the opportunity and capacity to significantly expand trade opportunities in Russia, and to do it in a way in which we can compel Russians to play by an appropriate set of rules and not to make decisions on agricultural products in an ad hoc way. So we're excited about that opportunity, as we were about the passage of the 3 free trade agreements, as we are about the conversations that are taking place with the Trans-Pacific Partnership. You know, 75% of our agricultural trade is coming from that Asia-Pacific Rim area, and so the Trans-Pacific Partnership has extraordinary potential if it's formulated properly and correctly. We're keeping an eye on discussions about an EU free trade arrangement, because there are obviously some issues relative to agriculture and biotechnology that would have to be worked out before we could be totally convinced that an EU free trade agreement is in fact going to be free trade. But the bottom line is exports have expanded. It's been the best 4 years of agricultural exports in the history of the country, and we are projecting a record year next year. So we obviously want to continue that. We've also expanded markets here at home with an expansion of local and regional food systems, which is now a multi-billion-dollar operation and an important aspect of creating entrepreneurship in rural areas. We've seen a 60% increase in farmers' markets, and we're going to continue to promote a focus on those markets as well, because it does provide for smaller operators and entrepreneurial operators an opportunity to get in this farming business, and we want to encourage more and more young people to be engaged in farming. With due respect to those who are suggesting that the renewable fuel standard is history, I'm here to say it's not. I believe that we'll continue to see a robust commitment from this administration to the renewable fuel standard, and the reason being that we are interested in reducing our reliance on foreign oil. We're interested in creating opportunities in rural communities across the United States, and I think the biofuel industry is one industry that's introducing us into a new economy in the rural areas, and I'll talk about that in just a few minutes. We've seen an increase in biofuel production in this country. Overall, we've seen an increase in renewable energy. In fact, we've doubled the production capacity of renewable energy in just the last 3 years. And as exciting as all that is, we're seeing an increase of innovative and creative ways to use plant material and crop residue and livestock waste to produce a whole range of products in the economy. And I think it holds the promise of a brand new rural economy, creating new opportunities for farmers as well as job opportunities in small towns. And we're proud of the role that we've played in terms of expansion of conservation opportunities, with a record number of acres enrolled in one conservation program or another, and its link and tie to outdoor recreation. 38% of Americans are engaged in one or more outdoor recreational activities. They spend hundreds of billions of dollars annually on those important hobbies, and we're trying to encourage more of that resource to be spent in rural areas. So that's all the good news, and that's all led to, over the course of the last couple of years, good, solid farm income, and in some cases, record farm income. So what are the concerns? What are the things that we ought to be focused on? Well, the obvious one is the drought. It's an issue that still is with us today. We have had 4 regional hearings throughout the United States to get a better understanding of the impact, the long-term impacts of drought. As you probably know, the USDA took very rapid action to try to respond to the limited tools that we had to provide flexibility for our livestock operators, to provide some opportunity to avoid having to pay interest on crop insurance premiums because times were tough, a variety of activities in terms of making disaster loans more affordable and more available. The disaster declaration process was streamlined. All of that was fine, but we wanted to understand the longer-term implications of drought. We're dealing with one right now, concern that we have about the navigation along the Mississippi River. This was a discussion at the most recent cabinet meeting. The President has directed his team to do everything he possibly can to make sure that we continue navigation. We're expediting the rock formation, the blowing up of the rock formation that could potentially interfere with barge traffic. We're going to continue to look for ways in which traffic will continue to flow because we understand it's dollars and cents, and it can make a significant difference in terms of bottom line. But it does point out the need for a continued investment in the infrastructure of the United States. The President's absolutely right about this. Prior folks have talked about this. We have an infrastructure deficit that needs to be addressed. It's our locks and dam systems, it's our ports, it's our highways, it's our rail systems, it's our airports. It's also an opportunity to create new jobs in all parts of the country. And hopefully, as we deal with the challenge of this fiscal circumstance we find ourselves in, we don't shortchange our commitment to the long term. And that requires an investment in infrastructure. Water infrastructure is one thing that has been raised during the course of these discussions and these regional meetings on drought. People are concerned about the capacity to store it. People are concerned about the ability of irrigation opportunities in the future. And we're going to be looking at ways in which we can work within USDA and other federal agencies to make sure that we are as flexible as possible, that we provide resources and direct resources to the extent we can to ensure that there are adequate water resources now and in the future. Credit availability is also an issue. There are folks who are obviously strapped because of difficult yields or because they've had to liquidate livestock operations more quickly than anticipated. We intend to continue to focus on the credit needs, as we've seen in the last several years, as commercial operations have been a bit more reluctant to provide credit. USDA has stepped forward, and we now have a record number of farm loans, both operating and ownership loans. We're going to continue to focus on making sure that the credit is available to America's farmers and ranchers. People have suggested the need for us to continue to expand research, and clearly that is a topic, again, that requires us to, notwithstanding the fiscal challenges, to look for ways in which we can create more opportunities to put resources into research. And there are a whole series of issues involving research, not the least of which is the research that might assist us in encouraging more double cropping throughout the United States and determining what crops will work best for soil preservation, for water quality preservation, for giving farmers the capacity and the amount of time to be able to successfully plant more than one crop. In the issue of double cropping, we're also looking at the barriers that exist in our crop insurance program. During this year, because of the drought, we sort of made it a little bit more flexible in crop insurance to encourage double cropping so that we have potential forage opportunities in the spring. We're going to continue to seize this opportunity, this difficult, challenging opportunity, to see if there are ways in which we can use our ground and our land more effectively and more efficiently. Folks, during the drought hearings have also suggested we need to do a better job of forecasting weather patterns, which we will focus on through NOAA, streamlining regulations, and also making sure that there is indeed some disaster assistance. That, of course, requires Congress to act on the Food, Farm, and Jobs bill. That obviously is another concern, the lack of certainty about the future of that bill. We facilitated a meeting the other day with the four leaders who had not really been talking a great deal, brought them down to the office and suggested the time was now, that if there was going to be a resolution of the fiscal cliff issues between the House, the Senate, and the President, that would provide a vehicle for the passage of a Food, Farm, and Jobs bill, that in order for that to happen, they could not be in a situation where they would ask folks to wait while they crafted and drafted whatever compromises they could reach, that they needed to be doing that work now so that when and if there is a resolution of the fiscal cliff, the farm legislation could be attached to it without delay. Discussions, as I'm sure Chairman Lucas and Chairwoman Stabenow have indicated to you, are ongoing. I think I'm hopeful that we ultimately will get to a point where folks will see the common ground. I think there was a good deal of flexibility that was discussed during our meeting last week, and I think they've built on that meeting during the course of this week. There's still difficult issues that have to be resolved, but I think with the time and the effort of the leaders in the House and the Senate, we can get this done. We continue to provide and will provide technical assistance and be able to respond to questions that folks have about ideas that they have, and we'll continue to provide that assistance. We're not going to write a farm bill in the Obama administration, and due respect to Tom Dorr and others who are here from the previous administration, we tried that and it didn't work very well. We had vetoes and a lot of delay, and so our thought was we would not write a farm bill, we would help actually pass a farm bill. And so we're going to get the technical assistance that folks need. We're going to provide direction as requested, and we're going to facilitate conversation and encourage resolution. And I think that will end up, hopefully, before the end of the year with a product that we can be proud of. So those are the obvious challenges: the drought, lack of a farm bill. But there are some serious additional challenges that you may or may not have talked about today that I want to put on the table. One of them is this issue of climate change. We've suffered some serious, intense weather conditions in many parts of the country. Whether it's the intense storms that the eastern coast has sustained the last couple of years, the sustained drought that we've seen in the Great Plains area, and the extraordinary wildfires that we've experienced in the western part of the United States.